let everyone know who may be just joining us for the first time today, the purpose of the session. Basically, the purpose of this session is for, it's a sideline talk to the POATE 2021, so the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. So basically, what we're doing today is really to complement what is UTB and what all the different tourism stakeholders in Uganda have done with the Pearl of Africa Expo. And it's really because we were able to make these rich connections through this event that we decide to have this sideline talks to be able to kind of elaborate and to discuss and to talk more and to share actually with a bigger audience our experiences and really again, we're in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic, and I know we're, at least here in Egypt, we're definitely going through this third wave. So we're getting a lot of increase in cases, I think, all over the world, actually. But I think for now, we're trying to contain things. There's more vaccines going around and more people are also aware and knowledgeable about the dangers. So they're very careful with the safety precautions. In spite, as tourism stakeholders, it's very important to still plan and still use this time wisely to either focus inward in terms of promoting domestic tourism or focusing on the region, intra-African tourism or beyond. And then of course, preparing for full stream of international tourists coming either back to normal, or I believe it will actually be even better because I think now, because of the COVID pandemic, people are ready to travel. People want to get out of their homes, they want to get out of their country, they're ready for that vacation. So I think, I think actually we will have a surge in travel once the situation, the pandemic is under control. So as normal, as I gave an introduction to what this sideline talk is about, and we have it open today. I figured it's a good opportunity to, if people have questions, they can ask, we have our experts here, they can ask the questions they want, what they want to know about Uganda, and also just so they can, I've invited several of my friends actually. They're probably wondering because I sent them the link and I didn't give them all the information about what this is about. But again, I wanted to introduce my friends in context into Uganda and what it has to offer. And Miriam, I guess if it's okay, I will start with a question. And maybe then people can just interject. Anyone who wants to talk can just raise their hand and is more than welcome to join in. I'd like to again welcome all of our guests today. But Miriam, people might be wondering, why are we promoting Uganda, for tourism? What does Uganda actually, in your opinion, have to offer in terms of tourism? What makes Uganda unique compared to other parts of the
world? Thank you, Nancy, for posing that question. Uganda is an ecotourism destination that has a variety of activities that anybody can fit in. It's such a country that is small, but it's condensed with a lot of diversities that even within a short test visit, one can be able to see or do any activity that they want. Whether you are having a short holiday or a long holiday, you'll still have to fit in, depending on your own interests. And it's such a country that is hospitable. You'll always have the warm welcome from the people, which is very, very important. The people are very important because they'll give you a touch, they'll give you a feel. And then we have a number of animals that you can see within our national parks. We have gorilla tracking and chimp tracking. And as I explained before, that looking into the eyes of the gorillas is a lifetime experience. We have cultural experiences where you can interact and mix with the local people and really get to understand the norms and behaviors and the practices. You can have local cuisines. Then we have activities where you can go for adventures. And then you can experience different activities that really involve your physical fitness and physical challenges, like the rafting along the Nile, the bug jumping, the mountain climbing in the Rwenzoris. We have quite a number of birds, and as I explained, 50% of the East African birds are within Uganda. So you can either arrange short trips or longer trips, depending on your time. And the accessibility to these birding areas is much easier, and looking out for the harder species. We have a diversity of cultures, so you can enjoy. We also have good fertile soil, so you can enjoy the food, the organic food. You can enjoy a bit of our coffee. So we have an array of diversities that you can do. You can go for wildlife safaris and go into the parks and enjoy seeing these big game, the wildcats and wildlife, through guided walks, through game drives, through boat cruises. So we have an array of activities that you really can enjoy. So that makes us different. As we've talked before, each African country is unique in its own setting. And so we have a lot to offer, probably from other big boys that are surrounding us, big countries. Yeah.
This is true.
And probably we will learn more as I explain about ecotourism in the talk as we go along. Yeah.
Yes, and I like the fact that we have this strong connection. I'm speaking now, of course, with between Egypt and Uganda, because Uganda is the source of the Nile River, which is for us our source of life. And actually, the Nile begins in Uganda, but it actually ends or kind of flows into the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt. So there's always been this very strong connection, also surrounded around the Nile and the importance of the Nile. And actually, what's interesting too is I've seen the Nile, the source of the Nile in Jinja, where it began from Lake Victoria. And I can tell you it's very different from the Nile in Egypt, because the Nile in Uganda is a lot wilder and, you know, very, I guess the best word is wild. It's very wild compared to our very calm Nile.
Yes.
Yes. And that's what makes, of course, Jinja very exciting too, because you have the whitewater rafting and a lot of the extreme activities or extreme adventures. And I have several of my good friends who are actually representing different sports, the winter sports actually here in Egypt. So a lot of them are young and into this extreme, you know, like Khalid is a skier and he's actually quite famous. He's gotten many medals and represented Egypt in different international events. And we have some ice hockey and we have our figure skating team. So actually to know also how Uganda, and I myself was amazed to see that with the Rwenzori Mountains, for example, I was amazed to see the fact that you have all that snow, because most people wouldn't think that at the equator you would have snow. It's quite impressive. So has Uganda also been positioned for like skiing? I mean, is that offered as an activity in Uganda because of that, or?
No. Actually, we don't do skiing here because the only ice cap we have is at the Rwenzori, as you saw the pictures.
Yeah. So
it's only to culminate the Rwenzoris, but we don't do skiing there because of the altitude high there. It's about 5,109 meters above sea level. And of course, those ices are within caves. It's just because it's now iced. So you can't really do anything much onto that ice cap. Yeah. So it's just for those, ice skiing is not done up there.
Okay. But for adventure tourists, do you think Uganda has a lot to offer in terms of like, what are some activities a lot of these young extreme tourists or extreme adventure tourists can do in Uganda?
Yeah, of course they can hike the Rwenzori. They can also hike Mountain Erigon. They can also hike the volcanoes. We have 3 volcanoes in Mugahinga National Park. So, but those volcanoes are day activities. So they can combine their climbing or their hiking with the gorillas. So like if they have some few days are going for the gorillas, then they can go for the hiking into the volcanoes, and probably they can do golden monkey when they are around the Mugahinga. But of course, other adventures they can do is the rafting, and then the bug jumping, the river boarding, but all those activities, the kayaking is all done in Jinja. Yeah, so those are some of the adventures they really, really can do. And if they want cycling in the mountain areas, they can also do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how many, because this is something a lot of people don't know about Uganda, is that you have different kingdoms and you have different tribes
Yeah.
as well. So approximately how many kingdoms and how many tribes do you have in Uganda, and how many languages?
We have about 56 tribes. And of course, we are coming from different ethnical groups. We have 4 ethnical groups that include the Bantu, the Niloticas, and I think 2 more. And within those ethnical groups, we have now different groups that come out of those ethnical groups. But each tribe that comes out of an ethnical group, you understand each other. For example, if you're a tribe that is coming from the Bantu, so you really understand each other, your customs and norms are related, you can actually hear each other. But if you are from another ethnical group, for example, if you are from the northern part of Uganda, you may not totally understand people who are coming from the west or people who are coming from the central. But we have a common understanding because you can see those relationship within the different tribes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What differentiates the different tribes? So is their food different, their dance, their music? What are some other ways that they're very unique or different?
One is them coming from the different ethnical groups or where they originated from. And then when you look at our dressings, the dressings are different. The infrastructure, the real traditional infrastructure is really different. The staple food, we have different cuisines, different customs, different norms, different practices that are really quite different from each ethnical group. And then in terms of clans are different, and the dialect is also different. And when like you come from Buganda Kingdom, which is within Kampala area, that central area, when you speak out your name, then somebody would know you are from a certain clan. And each clan, you have to know all your lineage. If by mention of my name, then somebody will know, oh, you are from the Buffalo clan. You are from the Lion clan. And each clan is attached to a totem. And mainly these totem were wild animals, but this was a way to preserve them. For example, if I'm from a buffalo clan, then I don't kill buffaloes and I don't eat buffalo meat. So that was a way to conserve animals and preserve them.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
when you go in other areas, yeah, when you go to other areas, then it's also different.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that is how it is.
And you said there are how many kingdoms in Uganda?
Let me say, we have the Buganda Kingdom, Busoga Kingdom, we have Toro, we have Bunyoro. We have about 6, yeah, about 6 kingdoms. Yeah, and of course you visited the Toro Kingdom.
Yeah, I was impressed to see.
When you are in Toro.
That's true. I was impressed to see that in the Toro Kingdom, the king of Toro Kingdom is actually, he is the youngest king in the world.
Yes.
I think he's in his 30s or.
Yeah, he's in his 30s. He became king when he was 4 years. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But he's in his early 30s. Yeah. Now he's a big man. He's a king now.
Yeah, that's really amazing about that. And that's the thing is people think about when when people who have never traveled to Africa or have never traveled to Uganda, they go by maybe what their stereotypes or what they imagine from movies or what they've seen. You know, they have this specific perception about Africa. But when you learn more, even without visiting, when you learn more and you talk to people, you realize that it's so sophisticated, the system, as you just mentioned, the different kingdoms, the different clans, the different tribes, the different languages or dialects, the different dances, cuisine. So you have like a whole world just within Uganda itself, in terms of the diversity that you have.
Yeah, yeah. It's because of the diversity we have in the tribes. So each region has different tribes, and they have culturally the way they do their own practices of food or dressings or infrastructure, which is different from others, but at least there's that interrelationship within tribes. Yeah.
Amazing. And do you actually, Uganda also has, I believe, the youngest airline fleet in the world as well, with Uganda Airways.
The youngest what?
Airline fleet in the world with Ugandan Airlines?
It is not the youngest, but they've just revamped it. We used to have Uganda Airlines, but now they've just like reintroduced it again to ease the connectivity between other countries. So we can fly to London, we can fly to China, we can come to Egypt, and we can fly around East Africa and other destinations. So that also will help us to connect and create traffic within Africa, that African countries now can come and visit Uganda, for people can get easy travel in and out of Uganda. It will really help a lot to create traffic.
Yeah, and I know already Egypt Air has direct flights from Cairo to Entebbe Airport, and it's like about 4.5 hour flight, which is not bad. Comfortable flight direct from Cairo. And the cost is not too bad either. It's somewhere in the range. It could be anywhere from $600 to $700 in that range for a round trip economy ticket. But I want to like also put some of the other guests on the spot that are here. How come? I mean, when we look at like when we think of safaris, we normally think of Kenya or we think of South Africa. When we think of wildlife, the big five for safaris. What are your thoughts? Why do you think maybe Uganda hasn't, in the past at least, maybe now it is, but in the past it hasn't gotten the same attention, and people were not as aware, or it wasn't kind of branded in that Uganda is also a place where you can, you know, view the big five, where you have these safari or these game drives and wildlife parks. What do you think do you think what's happening now or what's being done is enough to kind of get to educate people more about how Uganda has the same or even better facilities in terms of those people that specifically travel for safaris or because they want to see things they cannot see in their own country, like the wildlife? Do you think enough is being done? And what do you think is needs to be done for the future? To put
I think, Nancy, this is my own thinking, because ecotourism in Uganda started in the 1990s. And most of these tourism activities have just been developed. Compared, if you look at Kenya and when you compare it to Tanzania, if we really started in the 1990s, before that, it was conservation and preserving the natural resources without putting the element of tourism. So if you compare to the 1990s when the tourism now started, I think we've shifted from the traditional tourism and going on to the responsible travel to ecologically sensitive areas. So I believe with the promotion and like what UTB is doing, because it's the mandate of UTB to promote Uganda local and internationally as an ecotourism destination. I think with time we'll be there. And when you look at our tourism, we avoid overcrowding and exploitation of these resources compared probably to our neighbors. Because when you look at people who are going for the world migration, the world-based migration, it's congestion. You go to Masai Mara and you see lots of vehicles that are surrounding the animals. That is like the carrying capacity and the spoiling of the environment, which is not in Uganda. Here we are looking at conserving these sites for now and for the future. And we look at small numbers, and then we know it will be sustainable even for the next generation to find it. But I believe with the awareness and the promotion, what UTB is doing, I think will be there and Uganda will be known. And we have that uniqueness because our sites are not crowded and we are offering authentic experiences. That I think that is what people are looking at, and giving economical development to these communities. People knowing these resources belong to us, they have a sense of ownership and appreciating their nature and trying to make sure they use it properly for now and for the next generation. We will be there.
So
but
for
we
you,
are so much.
For you as Uganda, it's important, as you said, to conserve your resources, to protect the animals, to protect the environment. So your goal is to have that balance, right? To have also to promote your tourism, to invite people to come and explore what you have to offer, but at the same time, you're very cautious about protecting and conserving what you have. And I've noticed this even with the gorilla trekking, where you only issue a certain number of permits per day, and for the reason of making sure that you don't overwhelm the gorillas, or they're not basically their habitat or their lifestyle is not interrupted. I find that to be very smart, because again, like you said, you're talking about sustainability. As much as it's good to have the tourists and to have those foreign currency coming in, but you also want to make sure that the gorillas will always be there and they will be protected, and to maintain or preserve those resources.
Yeah, Nancy, you are right, because we don't want to overwhelm the resources, because, for example, if today we overwhelm the gorillas and they are gone, then they will be gone and we'll never see those tourists again. We'd rather have small numbers of tourists, but spread over years, other than having them like in a mass way, and then the resource is depleted. Because when the resource is exploited or depleted and gone into extinction, then we'll never have it again. And then the next generation will not have the opportunity to see them or to use them. So we make sure that we really protect, despite the fact that we need the revenue, but we need to balance the two. Yeah.
So for people wondering, is Uganda safe to travel to?
Yeah, Uganda is safe, and we've got a full department for tourism police that takes care of the visitors' safety. We are really safe. Yeah, and of course, for now, we are also adhering to the SOPs for COVID, and we make sure the public is getting vaccinated, and yeah, the destination is safe. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Curious to hear from Paul, Alexander, from Yakub. I see here Chigo, and anyone who wants to contribute. I'm really curious to hear about your thoughts. How do you, as a tourism stakeholder, how do you sell Uganda, or how do you see the selling points that Uganda has versus other destinations?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. This is Yakub speaking. Thank you for inviting me to this discussion, and I agree with Miriam. What Miriam said is true. Actually, the bit about Uganda also, in addition to what she has talked about, visiting the national parks, the birding, the culture experience, the bit about Uganda, you can also combine different regions, like in a space of 15 days to 20 days, and enjoy the full experience. And in addition to what she was talking about regarding the Kenya experience and Uganda experience, is that Of course, you can look at the background of Kenya before. Kenya, the generations of our British colonialists who settled in Kenya had those appetite for travel in expeditions and everything. So that tradition picked up much earlier in Kenya. And also that team also did the marketing of Kenya and also the conservation, like what Miriam was talking about. So it's something that has developed further in Uganda because we also have uniqueness in ourselves too, the chimpanzees, the gorilla tracking, the cultural immersions and all activities related to the rafting. As sometimes we market one of our towns like Jinja, like I've just discussed, that it's an adventure capital. So it is quite a unique experience throughout the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yakub. Paul, Alexander, anyone, would you like to add something to what Miriam and Yakub have said? Miriam, would you like to also elaborate on what
probably I just want to add on about our ecotourism, that the conservation and promotion of these tourism sites is in partnership with different stakeholders. And these may be sponsors, they may be volunteers, non-government organizations, community-based groups, and government bodies. And you look at government bodies like Uganda Wildlife Authority, whose mandate is to look after the animals in the protected areas on public land with other stakeholders. We've got National Forest Authority, we've got NEMA, and then of course in promotion, we have UTB, which is Uganda Tourism Board, whose mandate is to promote Uganda local and internationally as the best ecotourism destination. So all these stakeholders have their different mandates, and probably to mention a few, not entitled to any, their mandate is to conserve and preserve this the natural resources for now and for the future, and to limit even the exploitation, to create awareness and educate the public, both locally and internationally, and then to promote that great understanding and appreciation of nature, and to make sure that people have a sense of ownership among the communities. It's also to create employment opportunities to the public. And when you look at non-government organizations like Nature Uganda, they do a lot of research and monitoring the trends of the diversities, the biodiversities we have. And of course, they have to create, to generate revenue for the country. And then we have different ecotourism sites in Uganda that may be national parks. We already have like 10 national parks. We have wildlife reserves, forest reserves. We have culture and event centers. We have community reserves, community wetlands, theme parks, important birding areas. And so different activities have been developed around these places for tourists to enjoy. So we have an array of activities that go through. You can do mountaineering, you can do gorilla tracking, you can do bird watching, butterfly watching, you can do rafting, fishing. So we have an array of activities that have been developed around these tourism destinations that they can give opportunity to travelers. If you are seeking for wildlife, if you're a photographer, if you are interested in culture, anything, you can still fit into our tourism destinations. So I just wanted to encourage everybody to come and have a taste of Uganda, because at least we have a diversity to offer. And our main focus, our main ecotourism focus is to conserve them for now and for the future. And that is always my emphasis, and to make sure they are protected and we enjoy them, and even the next generation. Yeah.
And because I think more and more young people, whether students or just youth, are traveling more and more than in the past. but a lot of
Yeah.
the youth are traveling on a budget. Are there packages for people who want to travel to Uganda? Are there packages that would fit every budget, or would you consider Uganda as a luxury destination? I mean, in order to stay in a comfortable hotel and to enjoy a lot of what Uganda has to offer, does it require a large expense, or is there also budgets that can fit, or how should I say, packages that can fit different budgets?
So we do have different packages. We do have luxury, medium, and then the budget. And then we do the camping, we do the guest houses. So we have different packages to suit different different travelers. And actually we package and curate according to their interest and to fit within their budgets. Yeah. So if they're high end, then they will go in that. If they're medium, if they're budget, then we customize accordingly. Yeah. So everybody, like if that's
Okay, so Miriam's camera froze.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I can continue from that. Maybe she was trying to explain the different packages. This is Yakub.
Yeah.
The budget, the medium range, and luxury. Of course, it depends on the choice of the tourists and what also you offer the tourists at the end of the day. So you still visit the same destinations, but what really matters is that mainly it's maybe the transport you use and the accommodation you use that affects the different packaging of the trip.
So like if you're using ground transportation versus flights to go, let's say to Burundi to do the gorilla trekking, this would strongly affect the price packages.
Of course, yes, it will really change the pricing of the package, sure. It will add a value to it. Because if you choose that, it's considered exclusive or executive, so you'll have to be able to pay for that facility.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Paul, you wanted to say something? You're on mute. If you can just unmute yourself. Okay. You can go ahead, Paul. Paul, can you hear us? Okay. So I think the internet is frozen. This is one thing I have to say. I say this all the time. I'm really hoping we, as Africa, as a continent, we invest in development of our ICT sector because I think it's really, really important, especially now that with COVID pandemic, everything's gone online and everything is either hybrid or virtual. So I think now is the best time to, build up and develop our ICT, capabilities. Sorry, Miriam, you got your network was frozen, so please continue. You're muted, so if you can just unmute yourself. Okay, great.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just talking about encouraging travelers to come to Africa, to come to Uganda, because we have different budgets for them. Like we have luxury, we have medium, and then we have the budget. So we do have facilities. They would have different facilities, but enjoy the same activities. That is the difference. Yeah, yeah.
And
so we have packages.
Oh, great. What I found as
Go
well,
ahead, Nancy.
in my traveling, my travels in Uganda brought me to different kind of off-road areas. Like, I traveled to the north, for example, which I know is not, hasn't been in the past, at least positioned for tourism, but I got to go to like Aru Falls and Gulu and these areas. And I have to say, it was incredible, amazing. So the idea of being somewhere where you're like the only person standing in front of this gigantic waterfall. It's not crowded. There aren't so many people. I think this is something too, like if you had the time and you could just kind of discover and just travel, go from, you know, different parts of Uganda, you would discover all these kind of unknown or untouched resources that are more beautiful than one could even explain. I mean, even with the experience of going to Murchison Falls, like you said, even doing the safari drive, it wasn't crowded. There weren't so many cars, so you get to have that experience where you're actually driving and you're experiencing the animals even by yourself. You know, it's just, it was really very amazing, you know, because again, for me, I'd never done the safaris in Kenya or South Africa. My first safari experience was in Uganda. But prior to that, I'd seen animals in captivity, like in the zoo or, you know, those types of places. And seeing them in the wild in their natural habitat is so different, especially when it's authentic. When it's not commercialized, but it's authentic, it's something else. It's really amazing. Same thing with the gorillas experience. When we were doing like the gorilla trekking, as we were going to locate our gorilla family, we came across some wild gorillas actually. So the rangers kind of said, okay, don't move, you know, just wait. We're, you know, why? There's a wild gorilla passing by. Like what? It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Like you can't imagine the adventure, you know, and then you're crossing streams and you're, you know, I have to say a couple of us did fall in the mud a couple of times, but it was fun, you know, it was just with the hiking and everything, it was an experience. So initially, I have to say this, it's kind of funny because I'm not the most athletic person, but when we got to our lodge the night before, and I have to say myself and my Egyptian colleagues were a little bit spoiled, you know. So we came to the lodge and we were sitting, waiting, you know, we were going to do our trekking the next day. So we arrived and while we were waiting to get our rooms, a group had just come in from their trekking. And this group was from, they were European, but I'm not sure which country. They all looked very fit. And they came in and they were exhausted. They all like collapsed with blood and everything. So we all looked at each other like, there's no way we're going to be able to do this. Like, this is so difficult. Like, look at these very healthy, athletic, fit people, and they're coming in and they're collapsing. What's going to happen to us, you know? So when we got to the, you know, the ground, like the location, when we were being assigned in our groups, you know, we asked specifically, we said, please don't put us in a difficult group because, you know, this is a lot for us. You know, it's a difficult experience. So it was refreshing to see that they were able to accommodate, you know, okay, you're in an easier group, you're in a medium, we were in a medium group. So, and I'll tell you, till the last moment, when we climbed up and we got our certificates, that last hill, I was like, no, there's no way I can make it. I just can't, you know? But, and it was like everybody helping, and we had also like the porters with us, which in the beginning I was like a little bit confused, like, but I mean, is it okay? And then they explained to us, they said, you're actually creating jobs for them. They're making an income and they're helping you. And it was amazing. And I would never do this trip again without a porter, to be honest, because the whole time he was holding my hand, like pulling me, you know, to make it. So when I got through and I finished and I got my certificate, it wasn't like, it was another feeling, because it was like, wow, how did I push myself to be able to do this experience? How did I make it? We felt so excited and so proud, because not only the experience itself of being able to, like you said, look into the eyes of a gorilla, and definitely a silverback, which was amazing. He was busy eating, of course, so he wasn't really amused by us. But I mean, but not only that, but just the journey itself. You feel like you've accomplished something, and definitely a bucket list, you know, kind of adventure, because it's something you want to at least do once in your life. And challenging yourself. And I think it's the same feeling with the Rwenzori, like climbing the Rwenzori, is once you make it to the top, you're so proud and you're like, wow, how did I do this? You know, just that accomplishment. I think this is what is exciting about Uganda, is it pushes you to do things maybe in your normal life you wouldn't do, like the whitewater rafting or climbing a mountain, or hiking in a forest and visiting wild animals face to face. I mean, these are things that, again, not only are just unique to Uganda, but are so incredible.
Yes. And maybe, Nancy, to talk about the gorilla tracking experience, of course, there are highlights onto this track. Things like the conservation safari. It's a conservation safari whereby when you purchase that gorilla permit, you are like contributing to the survival of the animal and then conserving the habitat and the livelihood of the communities. And of course, tracking and tracking the endangered species in their own incredible habitat. Like, you're not seeing it into a zoo, but you are going after it into the mountains. And of course, that encounter with this, you realize it's a gentle giant, and then you are going way, way up into the midst of the forest just to seek for it. And the experience of, going and hiking and having those breathtaking views of the park is something that creates a memory. And of course, it keeps you fit and healthy as you move up and down. And then, of course, you gain the experience that you can't easily forget. So there are really, really highlights onto a gorilla trek. Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. I have to agree. It was a once in a lifetime experience. And
yes.
Sorry that you referred to them as the gentle giants. Excuse me. I just wanted to, if you allow me, I wanted to share a video. This was one of my videos from that experience, actually, if you allow me, of gorilla trekking. And I kind of added music to it, so it's more dramatic, but it was an incredible experience, I have to say.
Yeah, thank you.
Bana. Obategedde otya? Bakikozesa nnyo era kiraba babeera ku mpagama bagamba nti nno omupiira ebyokusoma sibiina kubaamu bikira
So,
ola kigendo kyabwe.
as you can see, this is it's a very exciting experience to be able to actually see the gentle giants firsthand. Was something unlike any other experience ever, and also very unique to only a few countries can offer that. But the experience in Uganda
Yes.
is very special.
Yakoleza
Right, and also
kugimpeereze kata. Yes. Kati woyogerera.
So I think Yakub, you want to share something about gorilla trekking?
Well, yeah, thank you, Nancy. For gorilla tracking, actually, I've tracked them twice. I think the first time was around 2017, and the second time was just recently in February. I see each of the experiences is different, actually, because the first time, well, it was a sad one. We lost the gorilla because the fight found that it was already injured, and because it fought with a wild gorilla, and it had wounds, injuries. And unfortunately, it died later. Maybe I should say, thankfully, I managed to see it before it passed on. But I tracked the same group in February this year. It's quite an experience with a silverback, very aggressive. It doesn't want you to come closer to the female gorillas, actually, because most of them had babies, and it's quite interesting, actually, because when you see them carrying the babies, and the babies also feeding, going on top of the mom, and then climbing over the branches and also feeding. A 6 months old gorilla is quite interesting. You can see it also very active.
Oh, they were
Feeding.
so cute,
So
yeah. And they're very
sure.
similar to human beings, I have to say, because I remember the father was eating, as you could see in the video, and then the mother, there were a few mothers, I guess, they were sitting kind of peacefully, towards the bottom, and the babies were on top playing. And then as the baby play and drop things, the dad would look up and kind of yell at them. It was just really cute. And it was literally felt like you were dealing with like people, like how they're so similar, how they communicate, and how they have the family system, and
yeah, of course, though they cannot speak further than us, but at least they communicate amongst themselves, and they use that threatening, because we have visited their habitat, so they try to threaten you, especially the silverback. The male silverback doesn't want you to get closer to the others, but of course you keep moving. Of course, when you have company of the ranger guides, they keep you protected. Of course, they just, because being these gorillas which are habituated mainly are not threatening like the other ones which are not habituated, because this one will just scare you away, but to just also just step away just a few meters, and you also have a chance to view it also.
Oh, this is true. It's very true. I think it's as you can see, I mean, this is one of the highlights, of course, of any Uganda trip is the gorilla trekking. And I think the chimpanzee trekking is also very exciting, because you also, in Uganda, you are unique in the sense that you have a lot, I think more than, is it like 90% of all the primates in the world are in Uganda? I think the majority, if I'm not mistaken.
They usually say the majority of chimpanzees are in East Africa. Actually, they have the highest number of the primates in East Africa. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And sure. Especially chimpanzees, they're many, sure. Although they're scattered in different locations, but they're worth visiting too, because they're quite aggressive animals.
Oh yeah,
very aggressive chimpanzees. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
They're very similar, I think, as well to humans. I think we share very similar DNA or something with the chimpanzee.
Yeah, close to about 98.7. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I saw also they were mainly, when we did the chimpanzee trekking, they were mainly in the trees. Maybe we weren't lucky enough to see them on the ground. They were mainly in the trees. but you could see that they were like doing a show for us, you know, like they're very aware of the fact that we are there. And
Sure.
yeah, they're very smart animals, I have to say, and
Yeah,
very
sure. They are. Yeah,
and the
they are quite stubborn sometimes.
yeah, they
They
are.
are quite stubborn actually. They usually fight their fellow primates, the monkeys, and sometimes they don't allow them in their territory easily.
It's so funny. Yeah, and
Sure.
actually, I saw that with like I'm a big fan of primates, so I saw that with the monkeys, with the baboons, which are everywhere. Like you could be driving in the street, and you will come across a whole group of baboons waiting by the street for
Yeah, the
people to
baboons,
come,
yeah.
which
Yeah,
was
they're
so
common
fun.
actually in Uganda, they're common, yeah. In
Very
Uganda, those olive baboons, they are quite actually, they are common actually. As you travel, even if you're traveling and you're not in safari, but you're traveling along one of the highways near the national park, especially Kibale Forest National Park, extension, whether it is through the other western part, whether to another western part, you really see them along the way, sure.
yes, and as we said the last session when I was in Muburo, uh, Lake Muburo.
Lake Imburo.
Lake Mburu, yeah. I had a baboon who was trying to steal my bag. So it was like he kept coming over and he kept trying to grab my bag. So I thought that was really
Sure.
funny how,
They're quite aggressive too.
yeah, but they're very smart, like how they interact with people. Um, and that's the amazing thing is that the wildlife, they each have their own like character, you know. Um, all the
Yeah.
animals, like when you go, like when I went to Murchison Falls, I remember distinctly like the giraffes, and I remember the hippopotamuses when I went on the boat ride, and the elephants, and then different types of like deer.
Sure.
I don't know the exact names, but um, and when I went to Lake Mburu, I remember the zebras. So each specific area has its own like unique, you know, wildlife. Um, so each area is kind of known. Like I think also Kidepo is known for the zebras as well. And then
Sure.
if you go to like Kabali, then you see the monkeys and the chimps. If you go to Buindi, then you can see the gorillas. So every area has its own specific wildlife
Yeah.
and what they're known
Yeah,
for.
sure.
I thought that was quite unique. And ginger, I have to say,
Yeah.
ginger was the most delicious fish I ever had, I think, in my life. Wasn't ginger?
Tilapia.
I couldn't believe how big it was. It was like,
Interesting.
it was huge. Wild tilapia, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I noticed it, even like I said, because I got to
Interesting.
travel to the north and I got to travel to the west. And every place we went, there was a different specific type of cuisine. So like the meat, the
Yeah.
chicken, the fish, like everything tasted very fresh, very organic. The same with the different types of like vegetables or the different types of, you know, like the Rolex. I had the Rolex here in Egypt before I went to Uganda. Gentleman, he's Ugandan, so he makes it here. And we had an event here for UTB, so we had the Rolex. But when I went to Uganda, it was different. You know, it was
Mhm.
really fresh. It was like very special, you know. Um, but yeah, so I very much enjoyed the food and how fresh it was and how organic and how actually the soil in Uganda is so fertile, the volcanic soil, that anything, I always heard this, I didn't believe it, but I believed it when I saw it. If you throw a seed anywhere in Uganda and you come back, something will grow. It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, sure.
So even the foods like the papaya there and the mango and the pineapple and the passion fruit,
Passion fruits, yeah. Yeah, sure.
unlike anywhere else I've ever tasted. The pineapple in Uganda, I think, is unique for Uganda. I don't think it's
No,
anywhere.
actually, the pineapple, yeah, you're right, because I've met a Pakistan. He has always testified that our pineapple is the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I agree.
It's
It's the
best.
best.
Yes, the best in the world. Mm.
So you have a lot to offer as a country, and even I'm sorry, I keep sharing my experiences, but really, it was overwhelming for me. Every time I traveled to Uganda, I got a different experience. When I got to travel to the north, for example, in Pade, we had 2 different tribes. They had like a celebration, and the 2 different tribes had different traditional, like a traditional dance or a type of music. And then there was another tribe that their traditional music was kind of like storytelling. So they were kind of, there was a gentleman sitting, and then they had people with music instruments, and he was talking, like telling a story. So again, that experience for people that are interested in culture and that want to kind of travel to experience authentic culture. And again, every place you go, you will find something different. When you go to Toro Kingdom and you go to Fort Portal, sorry, you find something very different. It's a very relaxed, very tourist-friendly place. And when you go to like Jinja, it's completely different. Yeah, so I don't know, Miriam, what else do you think we need to know about Uganda before
I
people start
think
calling you and booking their tickets?
we've given you, actually, I'm sorry that I was off the internet, and I think my colleague did a quite good to explain more, and some good work to give you the information and enjoy the diversity that we have. Yeah.
I want to share with you guys something. This is from the department from the
Okay.
hard to speak in this conference, but it's COVID-19 in Uganda. You are actually the lowest level in the world, which is level 1. It says low level of COVID-19 in
The
Uganda.
other day I saw something different.
Website, yeah.
The other day I saw something different. I thought what level 3. It's very good that if we're at level 1 now.
Yeah, you're level 1, which is good. So it
What
means
level 3? If it was level 1, which is good then.
yeah, people of course need
That's good for us then.
Yeah.
vaccines, but still at least the risks are a bit less. Maybe now it's good to take advantage of the discounts that are offered, you know, for doing a lot of these trips. Again, keeping safety as the #1 priority. If people don't feel safe enough to travel, obviously they shouldn't, but if they feel that they are okay to travel, that they have you know, taken their vaccines, that they are you know, masking up and using sanitizer and keeping social distancing, then I think it's a good time to travel.
Yeah. Yeah, and even for now, there's a promotion that is running, as I told you before, that is ending in June. So if people really want to travel between now and June, then there will be a discounted offer. So it's a good time also
off.
to travel.
Yeah.
And take advantage of that.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea. Paul, you wanted to say something earlier, but your internet had frozen.
Yeah, in my internet. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, please.
You can hear me? Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, because I came in late and I think I missed a lot. But majorly, I'm not a tour guide, or I'm not a tour operator, but I will take myself to be a tourist in this case on your platform. I'm an attendee, and I just look at things in an overview as a Ugandan. Yes, I love tourism as a person. So I attended. Basically, I wanted to know how far have we. Actually, I think Magada, I've been seeing you on a platform. You really participate a lot. And Nancy, I've been following up. My participation is a little bit down, but at least I follow up whatever people are doing. Okay, my case here is, it comes to you, Magada, mostly. You've talked a lot about how good we are in Uganda, and I've appreciated that. Whatever we have, but there's one thing I know, but nothing can make a baby cry, that is
Yeah.
not in his or her presence, that you know. All babies cry because they see something in their presence. What do I mean?
Mhm.
My point here is, no matter how we shall have, or no matter how good Uganda is, but when it is somehow lacks the ability to be promoted outside Uganda. So if you can put all that you have talked about Magada, the beauty about Uganda, everything, this and that. So if we can put it somewhere and we market it to the world, I think I can see Uganda's tourism being so big in East Africa, actually. Because seriously speaking, Uganda, not only being called the Pearl of Africa, but for us who are living in Uganda, we have seen this. Me, I travel Uganda. My business is outdoor advertising. So I travel the whole of Uganda on and off. I know here, I know there, and I know. So I know how beautiful Uganda is. But as me, I think if other people could know how Uganda is beautiful, as I know, I think tourism can be. Now I'm talking about the domestic people, because I think our major point was about domestic tourism, which has been really down, and of which you are people fighting to promote. So, Magada, what do you think exactly can really help us to put all of the goods we have in Uganda into one market, that one can be able to see that really Uganda is this, as you talk it out? Now, what can we do to promote what you're talking about to other people, domestically and international? I just want to know, do you have anything in mind?
Thanks, Paul, and thanks for being a good traveler within your own country. And whatever we've been talking about, I think there is something that has been done. Uganda Tourism Board has really been doing a great work in the domestic tourism. And within this lockdown, they've been taking up lots of campaigns to make sure that the locals visit these areas. And I think if you look at the numbers that have increased within this period, at least it's for locals. Locals have been able to travel to these national parks.
Okay.
And Uganda Wildlife Authority also has given this to encourage an incentive to also areas where they can really visit. And when you look at the rates for students, also the students have their own rates, which is an incentive that any student around Uganda can still go and visit. And still on the part of UTB, it's the mandate of UTB to promote this country to the outside world. And they've been doing this. For example, Nancy is our representative in the Middle East. And UTB still has invited lots of travel agencies, journalists into this country to make sure that they enjoy this destination, test all these products, to be able to broadcast it. And Uganda as a nation has PR firms that really advocate for Uganda out there. So there is something that is being done, and the future is positive. That is what I can say. And when you look at, like, currently now, starting from tomorrow, Paul, there's an event called POATE that is running, that its aim is to promote Uganda locally and internationally. So there's something that is being done to make sure Uganda is promoted out there and even within our country. I think the future is bright.
Last year, sorry, Magada, I believe last year, the POATE event had representatives from over 60 countries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I know there's been a lot, being done in terms of especially since the COVID situation. I myself have seen where they've had different competitions for people locally to or campaigns, to promote, visiting domestically. And I think, look, I mean, I'm speaking now as an Egyptian, as a fellow African, and we also here in Egypt, the tourism sector creates a lot of jobs and is a big part of our GDP. We have that in common with Uganda. And it's been tough for every tourist spot. Island like Seychelles, the majority of their income or GDP comes from tourism. And with the stop of tourists and airlines or airports shutting down, their economy has been severely affected. So it's affected every one of us, all of our countries, and definitely our continent, because our continent was beginning to really develop and we had reached a lot of, how should I say, wonderful strides. With the pandemic, things have kind of, slowed down again. So we have a challenge ahead of us. I see on the forum a lot of people or different people making different suggestions as to how we can improve, tourism in Uganda, how we can do, different things. It all sounds really great, but anything you do requires money. Any promotion, any events, anything, it requires money. And it would be great to think that we, the world or Africa or any of our individual countries have unlimited resources, but we don't. In reality, again, a pandemic like this has affected every major economy in the world. And so it has affected everybody's, ability to spend. So what we need to do as people who are fans of our continent, of our countries, definitely of Uganda, we need to get the word out. We need to actually do a lot of this, because again, we cannot expect that the governments are going to be able to do everything. Right now, their focus is on a lot of important things, re-stimulating the economy, on taking care of people so people don't fall into extreme poverty, and maintaining the parks or maintaining, those tourist sites so that when people start coming back, they are maintained and they can go and resume, the tourism. But for us, for the promotion part, I see from my own personal opinion that UTB is doing an excellent job, but I know it's challenging. It's challenging for the Egyptian Tourism Authority. It's challenging for the United States Tourism Authority. Any tourism authority today with the pandemic, there's a challenge. Again, it's like-minded people like us. We use forums like this. We use the POATE, events like that to be able to really network and build contacts and relationships to really start promoting, from abroad and domestically. Because you have a lot of expats living in Uganda. I mean, even if we're not talking just about the Ugandans themselves, and it's a good opportunity for them to explore Uganda, we did the same in Egypt, but also you have a lot of expats. You have people that work for multinational companies there. You have diplomats, you have their families. You have a lot of expats that live there, that it's a good opportunity to, promote Uganda to them and to create or tailor packages for them. And they benefit from,
Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh no, please.
Do you have a tourism identity in Egypt?
So I'm affiliated with a tourist company. I help them with the luxury brands, but my company per se, I'm more on the lines of the promotion, like event management and promotion of tourism. So the
what I'm saying, sorry, what I'm saying is, do you as a country, do you have a tourism identity? But if I need to come to Egypt, when I visit maybe this site, I'm able to explore Egypt online. Do you have something like that that identify you?
Some links, absolutely. Recently we just had the moving of the mummies, the kings, the pharaohs, moving them from the old museum to the new museum during the launch of the new museum, which is about to open. It was a huge celebration. It was something similar to, Carnival in Brazil, something that we in Egypt, was new for us, but it was like a huge festival.
I watched it. I watched it on TV. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Some documentary was running. I watched it on some TV. So I was seeing they were removing the mummies and were putting them somewhere. I enjoyed that bit. But my point was, as Egypt, as a country, do you have an identity? Just one identity like this. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if a country has a tourism identity that can really help that country, a country like Uganda, because for Egypt, really, when it comes to Egypt, it is far away in terms of tourism. Your tourism starts way back. So it is rich. But here, you as you, my point here is, as Uganda, if we could get an identity for tourism, that if someone wants to visit Uganda, per se, apparently we have so many Magadas, they have so many tour companies, you understand? But which tour company individually is promoting Uganda on its own basis. But here my point is, if we get one tourism identity, for example, maybe an online application, which showcase all Ugandan products, but even the tour operators can be on board, that when someone wants to come to Uganda, when he visits that site, he can explore the whole of Uganda just by one site like this. What do you think if we could have such something that identifies Uganda as Uganda, that when I want to go to Uganda, this should be my first point to attend to? Like, for example, maybe UTB, Uganda Tourism Board, that when I go to Uganda Tourism Board site, I'm able to see the hotels in Uganda, I'm able to see the restaurants in Uganda, I'm able to see everything about Uganda. What do you think, as you, an expert in tourism,
Yeah.
what do you think if we could have such a thing that identifies us as a country, that even if you, who is promoting Uganda, it is what you use to promote Uganda, you get my point, into Middle East, that please, if you want to visit Uganda, kindly go to this site, you'll explore Uganda. Not only, okay, talking about the animals, talking about this, leaving other parts untouched. What do you think about that?
I think now is the right time to have something like this, where people can have like virtual tours, and also to be able to have all the resources at their hands. So they will know, okay, so if I want to book a trip, I can call this agency, or if I want to do the gorilla trekking, you know, these are my options. If I want to do, and not only to for the resources, but also to know what, like you said, what Uganda has to offer. I think what you're saying is important, that each country has to have a specific tourist identity. So when tourists normally come to Egypt, for example, they come either for the beaches, the Red Sea. Beach tourism is very big, and especially people coming from Europe. And that's why we even have direct flights from those Red Sea resorts to Europe. So they don't even have to stop in Cairo. You know, it's direct. We also have like the antiquities, like the pyramids and you know, the Luxor, which has majority of the world's antiquities. So people going to see temples and pyramids and, you know, ancient pharaonic sites. So this is part of Egypt's tourism identity. Recently, they've been trying to build as well the ecotourism side, you know, with Siwa and many of these other destinations, whereas you can go and have natural springs. And, you know, again, what I find is very good and important, and I'm going to add to what you're saying, is co-branding. Like, we have our identity, and Uganda is also, you know, has their identity. But what Uganda has to offer is very different from what Egypt has to offer. And what Egypt has to offer, again, is also very different. But having the combination, so if I'm traveling from the United States on Egypt Air direct flight, you know, from JFK airport to Cairo, which is about 2 hours or so, and I spend 5 or 6 days in Egypt touring, you know, those sites, those important sites, and then I hop on a Egypt Air direct flight, 4.5 hours to Entebbe airport, and spend several days, or maybe, you know, like a week at least in Uganda, maybe focused on specific activities like doing whitewater rafting in Jinja, or doing zip lining in Kadepo, or doing the gorilla or even the chimpanzee trekking. So I have already the package, and it's tailored so the tourists can pick. Well, if I go to Egypt, I have to see the pyramids, and I have to go to the Red Sea resort and spend at least 1 or 2 days there. And if I go to Uganda, it would be really a shame if I miss out on the gorilla trekking, for example, because this is something unique to Uganda. It's part of your tourist brand. That's what I'm saying. Think of how rich that would be if you're promoting a real, unique, and very authentic African experience, but one that is more rich. because again, you don't have pyramids and you don't have Red Sea beaches, but we don't have the forests or the gorillas or the wild Nile with the whitewater rafting. So what you have and what we have complements each other.
Yeah.
The same the way that you used to see like Israel and Jordan used to package. A lot of times they would package their trips together. Or you would see different European countries, they're packaging their trips together. So people can have a more rich European experience. Go to London and go to France, you know? To compare it. So why not having the same, especially now that we have direct flights? And even for people that want to save a little bit or and sometimes actually they're not really saving, but if they want to take a flight, they can take Ethiopia Air, they can take Kenya Air. There's other airlines that can take them from Cairo to Uganda. And maybe one day also we would have also Ugandan airlines flying to Cairo, which would be amazing. Because I tell you, that would also, you know, encourage people and there'd be more competition in terms of ticket prices and it would bring the prices down. So there's a lot of options there. And I just noticed actually my friend Sammy, he's from Egypt here, he's online. And Sammy is a professional photographer and documentary videographer. And he's actually been wanting to go to Uganda. He's very much interested after seeing also some of the videos and photos. And I think I've come across a lot of artists and photographers that are overwhelmed by what they see in Uganda. And I think for people that have this sort of artistic, you know, interest, they're in awe of the beauty and how amazing Uganda is. I know you're Ugandan, Paul. I'm Egyptian. Maybe sometimes we take our own country for granted because you're driving through cities, you see the same sights. You know, it's like normal for you. But for someone else, it's like, you know, I made my driver stop so many times every time we would meet baboons in the street, you know, and he'd be like, look, you're going to see so many baboons.
Yes. Yes, these are the things we already see when you're driving along the roads. So to us, it is normal, but others don't normal. Magada. So thank you so much, Nancy. Actually, there is in your objective, there's something you've talked about, and I think it's a big thing you're looking at. If you've said that at one point, actually, according to you, it's as if you want to create a package whereby we have, if you're bringing in tourists, you package Uganda alongside Egypt. But when people leave Egypt, then they have to fly to Uganda, and then they say exactly what we have. So it is beyond being nationalist that you're looking at Egypt as Egypt, but you want to extend the service that after maybe enjoying our pyramids and then the beaches, the Red Beach, then you can as well go and enjoy. I don't know how they call you. You call it is it primates, something like that in our language. The primates. Yeah, that's how you call them. So come on, enjoy the primates. I think by so doing, someone will have gotten really a good experience about Africa. Magada, isn't it so?
Yeah, but what we are now trying to focus at is to put Africa as a single destination.
I get
and
you
so
now.
To sell it out, because Africa has different countries and each country has its uniqueness. So rather than me standing as a Ugandan and then sell Uganda, I want to show people out there a bit of all the Africa. So I'll combine it, go to Egypt in my package, come to Uganda, go to another country as a whole. But of course, we have to have a starting point. We can't scatter everywhere. For example, let's start with Egypt. Let people come from the pyramids and come to the gorillas. And if it's working, then probably they can cross, then they can. So we are trying to look at Africa as a single destination, just as Uganda did, that we are beginning Africa, and then we can spread out into the intra-Africa. Yeah, that's what we are trying to do. But we are starting.
There's such great potential in co-brand.
Yes.
So I that is a very big objective, actually. That is something very, 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 very big. Actually, I've liked that. I was looking at me as personally, as I told you, I do not have any experience in tourism. I just see things. So I was just bringing out my views and looking at, because my focus was on Uganda, being my country. But when she talked about extending services, actually. This is something great. And this can really promote our tourism in Africa, whereby people who would have stopped in Egypt, they have that an extra mile to come to where? To come to Uganda, meaning we at least at the end of the day, Uganda is gaining. Egypt is gaining, Uganda is gaining, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right, Paul. Yeah.
Now I think I'm learning something.
And many people think Africa is a single country. It's not a single country. It has about 54 countries with their own uniqueness. So that's what we want to portray out there, that Africa is not a single country, but with different countries and with their uniqueness that they need to come and see. Yeah.
Different cultures, the way how they do things, they, you know, they are this and this. And now, Magada, just something small.
Please.
I looked around and I thought if we could come up with an as Uganda, I'm talking on behalf of Uganda. Hello, Magada, are you online?
Yes, I'm on.
Magada,
I'm on.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
I was saying now, like I personally, I wanted to first consult someone like you who has experienced into this. That if I came up with an application, an online application, per se, I create Bubu online application, or Bubu tourism. Bubu tourism is buy Uganda, build Uganda tourism. And we use that as an identity to identify Ugandan. As you said, that people think Africa is one country, but per se, we want to differentiate Uganda maybe from other countries, and we say Bubu tourism. But when you visit Bubu tourism, you are going to see everything about Uganda, from hotels, way of life, all the geographical sites. You know, when I talk about the geographical sites, I mean the, you know, the water bodies, the forests, the activities that are being done in Uganda, all that stuff. What would you, even you people, the operators, that we can even list you onto that one application? How do you think about that? Will that bring some positive impact into tourism, or it can't? I'm just asking, I just want to know.
That is a positive move, because you are bringing information nearer to the people, because right now, people need to know on information on a click. So if such an application is there and people can get the information, I think the better. Nancy, what do you think?
Yes, I agree. Absolutely. I think information is key. Like I said, forums like what we have now, this forum, the POATE, and having this opportunity for us to talk and discuss and to brainstorm, you know, because again, we have to be ready for the restart of tourism. We have to plan, we have to, you know, prepare, because it's not something that will just, you know, take care of itself. We basically, I think we're in a good position now, and it's a good time for us. And through such a network like this, to be able to kind of discuss with each other different ideas and to make it happen, you know, to actually make it happen. Like we have the ability, we have the audience here, we have the audience there, we have the audience abroad. If we can get the word out to more and more people about the potential, and people understand, because people need things also simplified. I need to know, you know, if I'm going to travel, how much of a budget do I need? You know, how much will it cost me to stay in a nice hotel in Uganda? How much will it cost me to stay in a nice Red Sea resort in Egypt? What is the cost? What is the cost of airline tickets? Because of the COVID pandemic, has the price gone down? Has it gone up? Are the prices competitive? What are the expenses? Is Uganda an expensive country? You know, if I want to travel in Uganda and I want to go to a nice restaurant, or I want to buy some coffee or things, is it an expensive country? I mean, if I'm traveling obviously to Switzerland, my dollar is not going to go very far, versus if I'm traveling to Egypt, because in Egypt the cost of living is less than other countries. However, again, it's based on your price range. If you want, you know, the presidential suite at the Four Seasons Hotel, you can get that in Egypt. If you want a nice 5-star hotel that's affordable but nice amenities, you can also get that. It's really goes back to what are you looking for? What is your price range? It's the same thing with Uganda. People need to be more aware. I like Paul's idea is I need to be able to go to one stop area, one place where I can go and it will give me the resources I need. If I want to book a trip, I need information. You know, I need information. I need to know, is it expensive? You know, what I can expect, you know, I need to know these things. Now with the COVID, it's a little bit unique too, because we also need to know, is this hotel following all the safety and health precautions, you know, for COVID-19? Is there an opportunity for social distancing? Do they, like a lot of restaurants in Egypt and a lot of hotels, they've canceled the indoor dining. Now they have outdoor dining and they have space in each of the tables. So, you know, once you know that, then you can feel more assured that at least, you know, you're traveling and you're safe, you know. The hotels can only book up to 50% of accommodation. Only 50% of the rooms are booked now in the hotels in Egypt. They're avoiding overcrowding. And these are strict rules to keep people safe. You know, before you enter into any of these tourist sites or hotels or restaurants, they take your temperature. You have to wear a mask. You have to sanitize. So all these things, as long as they can get that message that that, you know, Uganda and Egypt are taking those precautions seriously, then we're in a much better position to promote our tourism, even during this time.
So that means I should go ahead and do this. Should I, Magada, go ahead and promote this? Because really, I looked at it and I really wanted a one-stop, I call it a one-stop tourism show. That is good to talk about Uganda, whereby even I'm looking at even the embassies. We have the embassies on board, but once Nancy is coming to Uganda, she doesn't have to look for where the Egyptian embassy is. She just goes to the application. You know, embassies are very important things to tourists. It's a very important thing. So you look at all that stuff. We look at anything beyond other than the animals and what, but at least even the cultures. So we talk about the cultures. We show people the culture such that you can see everything onto one application like this. So if you can really say, Paul, it is good to go, then I can even produce it like tomorrow and we can share it on platform. You look at it, seriously speaking, and then you look at it.
That would be nice.
That would be nice,
and you will see it. I'm going to share it with you, Nancy. The good thing you are here, Magada, you're here, and you're the most. I've seen you're the most active people on the expo. So then you will see. After that, we can discuss, and you say it has flights, by the way. Even it has flights. It has bus booking. Like you don't need to go to the bus down. You just have to book online. The flights, we are looking at Uganda Airlines, Majare. I put Uganda Airlines such that wherever someone is, if Nancy wants to come to Uganda, she has to use Uganda Airlines. If someone is in London, instead of using other airlines, since they are coming to Uganda and we have operations within those countries, I'm looking at all that. So in so doing, if people are saying I'm going to Uganda, we already have this application and we have the airline. So I'm promoting the airline, I'm promoting the country. I just want Uganda to be just a click away to everyone to know what is about Uganda. That is my major point. Okay, it's what I'm looking at as a person who loves tourism and a person who would love to travel. So remember, as I told you in the first case, I said a baby will never cry for something out of his or her presence. So that means people will always, according to me, people will always purchase what they know. Someone can easily purchase what they know, and it is very difficult for someone to purchase what they do not know. So the more you expose the information about Uganda, the more people can really have the love for the country, and I think the more they can come in. So that is my point in my view. So it's what I want to do, to try it out and see. Sell out Uganda, see what comes out. It's always about trying. So if Magada, you can show people when they come along, you have a tour company, I can see, I didn't know you have one, Uganda something. When people come in, they join hands with you. Now, me as Banner or as Paul, I will stand aside, then I leave others to you, because me, I'm not concerned about the tour things.
Thanks,
I don't
Paul.
know, to move people. You get my point? But I've brought you the people on board, so it is about you to give them the best services to make sure that they
Sure.
can come back the next time.
Sure, Paul.
That is my proposal. Yeah.
Very
Super.
smart. And I think we should really
That is my
work
concept.
on this co-branding. I really think this would be something really nice for both of us. And I think in general, I'm not excluding any other African countries. I mean, I personally would love to visit Ghana. I'd love to visit South Africa. I mean, there are many, many countries in Africa, and each country is unique in its own way. West Africa has its own highlights. East Africa has its own highlights. South and North Africa are very different. Morocco also is a beautiful, amazing country, also has a lot to offer. Again, very different from what Uganda has, different from our tourist profile. So I'm saying, we need to start doing more of that. We need to promote intra-African tourism, but we also, I think we can benefit a lot from co-branding. And that really means we're focusing on promoting Africa. For everything that we have to offer.
Yeah.
So I can get that, actually. I can get that. And I agree with you in all aspects. Now I'm picking a few things now, and I'm one person who can easily change. So meaning, but I like your idea. Really, Magada, if you can promote that one, but we have, we have different packages. As you, I think you've been doing this, you operators, you do this. You offer packages in Tanzania, you offer packages in Kenya, you offer packages in other. That means in one or the other, you've been offering it as a service. But now, this is the time we can bring African countries in the way of doing it as a service. You are promoting Africa at large, as a continent. So I think you already started it just because it has been in a different way. Now you just have to gather information about it, and then you bring it together in another way, as she has been saying about co-branding and emphasizing intra-tourism in Africa. So I think it's a good way to go. And it's a broad objective and, a vision for Africa.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What I have to say.
I think this was a really great session. I'm so glad that we were able to do these sideline sessions. I think we were able to discuss a lot of important topics, and again, what do they say? Knowledge is knowledge is power. So giving information to people who may have been curious about what the potential of traveling to our side of the world, our continent, and what Uganda has to offer, and what Uganda and other African countries have to offer. I think we're very rich. I mean, we produce the majority of the food for the world, but we also, we're rich and blessed in natural resources. We're blessed with, so much. And actually, I think, again, I go back to the first point, is the people. When you go to Egypt, if you're asking for directions in some parts of the world, people may not even respond to you. But if you're asking for directions in our part of the world, people will probably even invite you to their home for dinner. So we are a very friendly, a very kind, and a very hospitable people. And that's what kind of binds us. And even among us, like the Christians are very God-fearing and very religious people. The Muslims are very God-fearing and religious people. So even though we are different, but we are the same in that we all take our culture, our religion, everything very seriously. And through that, this is how we interact with people. And we show the best of what our culture has to offer.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Thank you guys so much. Look forward to having more sessions.
You're welcome.
So when are you having the other Magada?
Yes.
So when are we having the other, it is starting on 27th? The online expo.
Starting tomorrow. Yes, starting tomorrow.
27th, yes. What time? Are you going to be online or?
Yeah, just join us. Go to sessions that you really enjoy, and then you can attend different sessions and attend to your meetings, and then different sessions are going to be on. So you went platform, you can click. Actually, Paul, you can learn a lot. You go to sessions you want, and then you enter it and listen. And actually now you can also go on the app and look at different sessions, and you can set your question and send them before the session starts. Yeah.
Okay. I will. Thank you so much.
Great. We'll
Hope
see
to
you
hear from you tomorrow then.
Poet. Yeah.
Nancy, thanks for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Nancy.
I hope to see you guys face to face in Uganda soon, inshallah.
That's great. Oh, yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice time. Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so
and
much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.